Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Danielle, and I am one of your Solid State Circuit Society staff members. This webinar is being recorded. We welcome you to today's webinar for Young Excellence, Essential Skills for a Thriving Research Career. Please use the chat or Q&A sections to ask any questions. I now invite the organizers of this webinar to give a few opening remarks.
Hello, my name is Divya Akila. I'm Senior Architect at NVIDIA based in Austin, Texas, and an IEEE SSCS Young Professional Committee member. I will be the moderator of this webinar. Before we kick off the webinar, I'll start with a quick introduction on who we are and what we do. As young professionals and students, you make up for more than 30% of our overall membership, and you are the future of IEEE SSCS. As the SSCS Young Professional Committee, we strive to address the different needs and interests of our younger members with initiatives like this webinar series. Select benefits of SSCS membership for young professional members include the following: access to SSCS Resource Center, which contains technical tutorials, short courses, and webinars, distinguished lectures in your local setting, opportunities to apply for various grants and awards, develop leadership skills, and make professional connections by becoming a local or global young professional leader. SSCS Young Professional Network event at various conferences such as ISSCC, CICC, VLSI, ESERC, ACC, and so on. We also have an online mentoring platform that helps you connect with mentors around the world virtually. We do have an upcoming mentoring event at ESERC. Please do look forward to more details soon. Since 2020, we have hosted webinars for Young Excellence, which is a quarterly webinar series dedicated, but not limited to young professional members. So there are 7 members, committee members, to operate this webinar right now. And this webinar series complements the monthly technical webinars, which focus on technical developments. The list of webinars we did in the past is shown here. These are also available at our SSCS YouTube channel. Without further ado, as part of today's webinar series, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Stefano Stanzione, principal member of the technical staff at IMEC Netherlands, and he will be speaking on essential skills for a thriving research career. Stefano received his master's and PhD in electrical engineering from the University of Pisa, Italy, with focus on the design of passive radio frequency identification, RFID, transponders. Since 2010, he has been working at IMEC Netherlands on ultra-low power analog design for energy harvesting, battery management, and wireless powering applications. From 2014 to 2018, he served as a member of the ISCCC Technical Program Committee. He is currently a principal member of the technical staff. And today we will hear Stefano's insight on how to explore skills to thrive in research, including choosing right career path, convincing others that your ideas are worth pursuing, and how to avoid burnout and keep your passion for research alive. Welcome, and thank you very much for being here today, Stefano. We are very excited to learn from you. Please go ahead.
Oh, thanks for the nice introduction. So, yeah, I will start maybe repeating something you already said, but a little bit more visual. Can you see my slide in full screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so first of all, yeah, I will show some pictures of me. Might be nice. So you can see myself very young here. Use pointer. Yeah. You can see on the bottom left myself very young in the south of Italy, then moved to Pisa, did my master's degree there and also PhD on RFIDs, as you mentioned. Then moved to Leuven for a period of my PhD for an internship in an XP. And after that experience and after the PhD, I started working in IMEC Netherlands. So in IMEC Netherlands, I worked on several topics, initially on energy harvesting indeed, then on battery management for wearable devices, and now on inductive powering of implantable devices. So moved from more IoT automotive to healthcare. First of all, after this brief introduction, I would like to talk about research mindset. So I thought about this presentation thinking what I would like myself younger to get to know, maybe in the 20s, from myself older. And the first thing I thought to say is about this, is about the research mindset, which is not something that you clearly get to know at university. At least not in courses, right? So what do I feel like, it's my opinion, of course, the research mindset at the core is to identify ideal aspects in what you are trying to improve, really to look at the idea of that, an ideal amplifier, an ideal comparator, an ideal ADC, and then try a little bit to approximate and to tend to that vision. It's not about really looking at what you have and say, okay, let's try to improve of a certain amount a performance metric because then we get to a paper. It's really about having that dream and trying to get there and be a bit rebellious, anarchic, not accept the rules, because that's how you really get successful innovation. Of course, sometimes nature, physics comes back to you, hit you hard. There are things that really you cannot do. But before you challenge it a little bit, you cannot know. You need to demonstrate yourself wrong. That's the right attitude, in my opinion. And my mentor at the first years at IMEC always said, think it ideal and then make it real, which is a nice sentence in itself. But what it really meant is, and here I give an example, like in the case of a circuit with an amplifier, you can choose whatever you want having an amplifier. Imagine that you have a circuit, an amplifier into it, and normally you will go top down in specs distribution, right? To make sure that you don't get an impossible to do amplifier, no? You try to spread the specification between the building blocks in such a way that no one gets problematic, right? That's good engineering practice. But in research, sometimes what you want to do is to think really ideally and try to put in that system a model of an ideal amplifier. Zero power, infinite gain, infinite bandwidth, zero offset, whatever you want, and then see how that system will behave with such a impossible to make device. And you could think, yeah, what do you gain in terms of information from this? No, you gain a clear target. You know what you are going to get if you approximate that in terms of performance metric. And then you can try to approximate it. At least you have a very strong motivation to do it. It could be that in some cases you will not benefit so much because that's not critical. But if you benefit a lot, it's a good reason to try to do something better. And here I give an example, again, from my mentor. It's a circuit called zero bias active diode. It consists of only 5 transistors. M1 is a switch, M2, M5 is an amplifier. But he had this vision. He thought, yeah, ideal amplifier should consume zero power. have infinite bandwidth and so on. Okay, he didn't get the infinite bandwidth, but he approximated the zero current consumption, the zero power. And how did he do it? Because this current IC, the consumption of the amplifier, the biasing of the consumption, is proportional because of this mounting to the ID, which is the drain, the diode current in the active diode. So when the diode is conducting, you get a proportional factor, like a small factor of it, let's say a small quota, like 1%, 2% that you can decide flowing into the amplifier. But when the diode is in reverse, you get zero current. That's why it's a zero bias active diode. So there are applications where really this looks like an ideal amplifier over there, because you don't get any consumption of the active diode when the diode is in reverse. And yeah, just a side note, how many 5-transistor circuits you can make. I mean, if you will put a brute force thing looking for all the combinations of these 4-terminal devices, you get crazy numbers, 10 to 55, whatever combinations, but only a few of them are useful. Few of them are meaningful. You can think of the 5-transistor amplifier and few more. But the cool stuff is that I saw in my lifetime, one of them being invented in front of my eyes. And I look forward for some of you maybe to invent the next one. I mean, it's a big thing to select one new 5-transistor topologies over there. So it was amazing to see. Now a little bit of something on the cognitive bias that we could get. This is also a message to myself of the past. No, you start reading a lot of literature, a lot of publications, and then I don't know if you realize, I was not realizing at the beginning that it was really a distillation of success. You get just the positive moments into it. It looks like everything is programmed from start. No, you get equations, mathematical modeling, then from that you get the design, then the measurements, everything fits. Fantastic. In reality, it's not like that. I mean, we older people know it, that of course you are not bothering the audience, the readers of your paper with all the dead-end routes. But it could create a little bit of feeling in those who read that their scientific capabilities is not enough, because people do these wonders, no? In reality, the troubles are really the key for researchers. I mean, when you have a problem to solve, that's a treasure. That's something fantastic. We are good at solving problems, so we need problems. When you find that a circuit that you were assuming to solve to be useful for your circuit, for your architecture, is not working, that state-of-art circuits are not enough, then it's a good moment to invent a new one. So it's an opportunity for a researcher, really. So don't be worried about challenges. And then this is linked to the next thing, which is the next topic is a case of for optimism. So I'm an optimist, and when really by nature, so when I end up talking with someone who is not, I mean, 90% of the times, you will have a sentence like this. I'm not an optimist, but realist, no? When there is this kind of fight on planning and on things. And I understand it. Realism is very important for indeed planning, but innovation, really breakthrough innovation, you cannot plan. That's known. So there is limits to it. There are cases in which you need to unlock your optimism and to dream. And I'm not saying that you have just to be a dreamer, otherwise you are not going to succeed. But you need to be capable in an aware way to decide, okay, now I want to be dreamer, and in another moment I want to be realistic. So. And of course, from literature, you know that optimism is good for many things. It's good to drive motivation, to help to recover from failures or rejection, foster creativity, and facilitate collaboration. But you could say, yeah, well, but what if I'm not an optimist? I mean, nobody gets the same, right? So, but there are techniques, and that's the positive thing. Like there are really proven techniques that can improve your perception to be a little bit more optimistic, even if you are not. Positive self-talk, reframing negative thoughts, like Pollyanna, like in this figure, capable of being happy in such a weather, no? Mindfulness, write down periodically what went well. The last one, positive visualization, is what I really do unconsciously. I realize it's a technique, but I just do it. And it's what makes me optimist. When you tell me something, when an idea comes out, I just cannot make it, cannot avoid to start visualizing what will be the consequence of that thing, or the world opens up of opportunities, and then I cannot stop myself from thinking and working on it. And here there is like an example of a case in which optimism, for example, drove me. Like in this is an example. I could have taken many others, but for example, here there was a voltage reference, programmable voltage reference with nanoamps consumption that I wanted to apply to use for our implants. No, and the problem is there that, yeah, you can get very low power references, but then they are spready, they are not accurate. You can duty cycle accurate power consuming references, and then you get an accurate one, but then you need to have a periodic refreshing of that voltage over a capacitance, and that takes power again. But yeah, what I thought is, yeah, what if you have indeed an implant, which is, for example, an implant? I mean, there are many other applications with small temperature variation in time. What if your gradient of temperature is low? Then why don't you use just a current source into an impedance of an impedance matrix, and you calibrate it periodically, but at very low rates? Then leakage is not a thing anymore, because your reference is static, is not sampled. Yeah, and this, when I was pitching, was like, what? This crazy idea, and so on. So overcoming those criticism is like something for which you need that optimism somehow. You need to visualize it and think, yeah, that's going to work. So now we go on a next subject, which is very important, fairly important for a researcher, which is convincing skills. So normally overlooked a little bit by me for sure. When I was younger, I thought it was all about technical skills and getting publications and so on. I mean, also in publishing, there is a kind of level of communication skills, right? Also in presenting, where convincing skills are a thing, but convincing skills get extremely important in the moment in which you need to convince, like, your managers, or depending on your organization or your workplace, how it's organized. But there is someone to convince always that you want to pursue a certain idea, or to go in a certain research direction. So initially I had like good technical results, but when it was coming to propose new research tracks, never they were enough. They were not convincing, and so on. And yeah, you know, it's easy to blame yourself and think, maybe it's not my thing. It could be. I'm open to that. I'm not one of those that think I can do everything, and everything is at my reach. No, so it can be that this is out of my reach. No, I'm not capable of creating new directions, but I'm just capable to solve problems, technical problems, or research into a direction already defined by others. It could be, it could have been. Okay, but then something happened and helped me in that just suddenly. So because of organizational changes, suddenly I got invited into meetings in which many managers were present, the same managers that were present in my pitches. No, so I realized that I was starting to understand how they were thinking, predicting maybe their questions when they were hearing some stories or some presentations, and yes, suddenly things changed like magically. All my proposals suddenly got accepted. Like the first times I was like not understanding what I was doing better because I was just doing the same. But then thinking about it, I realized I had more information. I had information which was not technical. I had information about my stakeholders, about the committee that was going to judge my work, and I could make my story, my presentation, and everything acceptable for them. And yeah, that again, I would have loved if an older version of myself would return back in time and tell me instead of struggling for so much time. And yeah, again, the good news is that there is an whole literature of techniques that you can use for helping you in this. One is called stakeholder analysis, and it's a subset of it is what I did unconsciously in that occasion. So it's really to consist in studying, knowing what your stakeholders want, each one, and what is the relation between the stakeholders, who is going to support you, who is going to conflict with you, and so on. So there are all these roles. It's a role game. And yeah, it's pretty fun to do exercise like this if you have the occasion to do a course on it. But normally you don't need really an extensive stakeholder analysis. But just to say that there are numerous techniques. The way you tailor the message is very important. Also that one is a topic by itself. What is called social proof. So yeah, if you can, yeah, if you are in a meeting pitching an idea, but not everybody knows you and knows that can trust whatever you say. You need to gain trust, and there is little time to do it. Then this is very useful to get testimonials or statistics to show trust, to get trust, and storytelling, yeah, is good every time. I mean, you know how, of course, that even in presentations is good. In all types of presentations, this is good. And finally, provide evidence. Why did I put it to the end? Looks like the most important thing that I put it at the end because we do it. I mean, I was doing it. It's something very important, but it's something that you will not forget. I think as a technical person to provide evidence. The problem is that we only provide evidence normally if we are not guided by convincing skill techniques. And provide evidence is not enough. Not always. So the key message for me is if you struggle with this to convince the others, yeah, do not think like I did, that there is something wrong with you, that you cannot change it, that you are not enough. There are techniques, just study those techniques. Okay, now comes the bulk, a little bit of the presentation, which goes on to very important aspects to me of a research career. One is the work-life balance. Research is a tough, competitive environment in a certain way, and how to move forward in your career. And it could be in different environments, but still, I think the rules I got maybe from life apply a bit everywhere. So first of all, work-life balance. I tried to convey my message this way, so it's a little bit of a complicated slide, but let's get into it. So what I'm claiming here, and I will see from the discussion what you think, is that we always say that time is money, but we do not behave in the same way. We do not take care of time and are aware of time like we are aware of money. We are very much educated to be aware of how we spend the money and what comes back, the return on investment on every on everything we spend, or we should. We are at least supposed to do, but we do not do it for time. So here, for example, I bring an example. I bring a case like with money. If we have to buy a house, I don't know, now it looks very cheap, 200K of whatever currency, and the notary fee is like 1K or 2K, so max 1%. One could think, should I spend time to optimize to get closer to the 1K instead of the 2K? Okay, that's up to the personal taste, most likely about how important for you is to save those money. But in general, I will say that considering the effect on your lifetime of that, the real thing is a ratio, right? It's a relative ratio. So already with the house, you have maximum 1%, which is pretty negligible. If you are an engineer, it's considered nothing, because for an engineer, 10 plus 1 is 10, right? So it's and pi is 3, right? So what you have to care of from in principle, or you could take care of, is the relative ratio. So you need to be aware of how much is the notary expense, which here I indicate like K times X, over Y, which is the total worth of your life. Then you know in perspective, really, is this even meaningful in my life? And you know how much importance you want to bring to it. So that a little bit is something that is easy to convey as a message, right? Because we are used to think about money. What I claim, and I claim it again on myself younger, that for sure I was not capable of doing it, let's say 10 years ago. My perception of the effect of my invested time in whatever activities, but mainly working activities, was completely wrong, was based on feelings, and feelings can be wrong. So, and why do I say that? Because our perception of the time spent at work depends on how much effort, fatigue it causes. And the more we get close to the 24 hours per day working time, the more non-linearly we get an accumulated fatigue in time. And so this non-linearity tends in our brain to convince us that we will get a non-linear reward. I mean, we are non-linearly fatiguing way more, so we will get non-linearly the same outcome, but it doesn't scale with the fatigue, the outcome. Actually, yeah, it's much worse than that, but let's assume here I put some assumptions which are completely optimistic. I put the assumption that just you get a linear relation between time, so which is your input, right? Time you work, and your output, which is the scientific outcome. Could be papers, could be whatever. Let's assume this. Another optimistic assumption, you don't get any problem. You can overwork as much as you want. No burnout, no physical, no personal, family related, nothing, personal life. So no problems. You can expand as much as you want. And then no planning related issues, which is something that you will not find everywhere, as I mentioned, but I will explain later what it is. And the question is, for example, working 60 hours per week instead of 40 hours per week will create incredibly better results for you, scientific results or whatever. And the answer is again like the notary fee. I mean, okay, here is 50% more, it's not 1% more. So it's a significant, significantly larger investment, right? But you get, in these assumptions, which are optimistic, 50% more scientific results, in this case, papers, right? So you got 4, you get 6. It's not an order of magnitude even more. It's okay, good. But is it what you were expecting from these 60 hours per week? Myself, younger, was expecting more. And I can say it with knowledge, because at a certain point of my career, I started working 80% of my time. So instead of 40 hours per week, I moved to 32. And I realized that my outcome was not much degraded. I was expecting much more degradation by it, and it was not much degraded. I actually got more efficient because I was forced by it. So more or less by increasing of effectiveness, and yeah, the fact that I lost only 20%, so I needed only to recover that 20%, I could get on with whatever I was doing. And this brought me to think about it. And that's what I would like to tell to myself younger or to you. And then, yeah, you could imagine that sometime I would have come back on the assumptions, so that your scientific output, your results, your outputs are proportional to the input, to the time, is an optimistic assumption. Mental fatigue. There is a mindset that you create in yourself even without thinking, which is very dangerous, which is quantity over quality mindset. So you can end up thinking, okay, but night is long. All people are going away. This thing, I don't need even to find a smart way to do it. You can just do it brute force, I think, because I have infinite time ahead. Yeah, you are just spending badly your time. And then also low sleep gives, it's a positive feedback. If you have low sleep, you have less creativity, and you get into this quantity over quality because you don't have the capability of doing quality job. So it's all bad in that respect. No burnout, no detrimental effects on private life by overworking. I mean, everybody knows that overworking is like one of the root cause of burning out, and reduces creativity, which is our bread, right? Creativity. Relationships get strained, mental and physical issues. You all know those things. And then, yeah, the question is, what are you running for? Are you running for an 100-meter speed run or a marathon? If it is a marathon, if you want to do a long career in research, you don't have to strain yourself so much so early. Otherwise, it finishes early. And then you have to slow down way more than what you will do by having an healthy career. And then the last one, which might surprise some, at least, again, I'm telling about whatever surprised me when I was younger, but this, I think, will surprise still maybe some older people. Like I was, yeah, talking to my manager periodically, and I remember that, yeah, he knew how much I was working in that period, like overworking severely. And yeah, at a certain point, he told me, the day is 24 hours. And yeah, even if you work like whatever amount, but you make your planning assuming that overwork, then what do you do in case you have an unplanned issue, which as researchers we always get, right? because you cannot really plan innovation. And so, yeah, that was a shocking moment. I mean, my boss was telling me, and there is not about payment or budget, and it was just really something related to planning, to accurate planning. What I realized is that, for example, if you are in IC design and you have tape out dates, but this could be related to any deadline deliverable that you have. So you have periodic moments, checkpoints, milestones, and so on, and you plan in using your overwork, then you have less margin to speed up in case of troubles close to the deadline. I mean, if you work 8 hours a day, 24 hours is 3 times. While if you work already 16 hours, yeah, you get like 50% increase, not 300% increase. So your acceleration capabilities is moderate. And finally, I think what you have also to think, what is the motivation to overwork? So many times this is due to a wrong mindset in which you look, for example, at the career of others and you think you are not as smart as the others. And maybe only by overworking you can get to them. But I think also here you need to be a little bit more quantitative. Are you talking about people that you see on LinkedIn or whatever that are very close to you? If they are very close to you, you can first of all assess if you are working smart, working effectively, and so on. Maybe a little bit more work, but yeah, you are close, you are getting them. But if you are orders of magnitude far from those guys, overworking will not help you. You are not going to cover orders of magnitude by overworking because of what we said before, because of the assumption of proportionality. Now, how to move forward in your career? That's also a big topic, right? So you can have different opinions, right? There are those who look just for positions which pay more, and just you apply and you try to get higher salary. You follow the staircase of your career path in your organization. You go on LinkedIn looking for CEO, CTO with similar background initially, and you try to say, oh, he did that afterwards, he did an MBA, and you copy. But I think that before even doing those strategies, you need to know yourself. That's my key message. You cannot do that without knowing what's important for you. And here I make an example with 2 variables, X1 and X2. Of course, the life is multivariable, so you need to apply, the generalization from the 2 variables to n variables is not so easy, but you get the point. So if, for example, on the top X2 is your most important value, right, in life, then you should maximize X2. And you can see that if the curve is non-linear, as probably it is in life, then if you flip the chart and your most important variable is X1, then the career path is different. So you need to know yourself. Don't copy what the others do. The others go maximizing salary, getting this career. Don't follow the other. First, know what you want, and then try to get that one in life, in your career, also in your private life. And then what you could say is, but how do I know myself? I mean, that's a difficult one, right? And in reality, a little bit of knowledge, you get it just by memory. You need to remember what you were liking to do when you were a kid. Because, you can see in the image, like there is the nerdy guy that plays with electronics, then there is the manager already in young age. You can see a little bit of that in what you liked to do when you were a kid. And that kid is somehow also still inside you and will make you happy if you make him happy, him or her, and will make you frustrated if you just don't listen to him or her. I mean, don't only look at what socially the others around you push to do, but look at what your kid inside would like you to do. Because yeah, that kid is inside you, the others are outside. So be careful not to frustrate that kid. And another thing that I noticed is that normally we misjudge the jobs that we look at. So sometimes we think, oh, that job is fantastic. No, the whatever, much higher than your position. I would like really to be in that position. But do you know what the job is about? And if you think you know just by looking at some emails going around, some discussions, some meetings, you are wrong. I mean, that job is at least 8 hours a day, and you are not behind their desk all the time, right? So you do not know exactly what the job content is. And you do not know especially how you will feel in being involved in that job. Asking what do you do every day to that person is better already, but it's partial again. You do not get the full information. So my thought is that the best, the absolute best, if you can, depends, but if you can really do it, is to propose always to that person, do you need help? I would like to learn more about your job. Do you need help? Can I, as a side activity, get some work from you, unload you, because I really love this kind of job. It's just a positive message, and in some cases you can really do it, like a part-time activity, and then that person knows you better, how you work, and you know better the type of work. And then when you move, you do it informed. Both do informed. So it's the best practice. And now let's go to the personality and more culture side of things, because it's very strong. So, for example, imagine you get very good results technically, but you don't get the upgrade you were hoping for, and you are not asking because you are proud, because you say, come on, I got the results should pick for me, and my manager should realize that I'm top, so I deserve an upgrade. And then maybe some friends tell you, oh, come on, you should ask for it. I mean, you should not, you will get it. Others ask, and then they get it. And then you think, but do we really want a world in which who asks more gets more promotion? No, I mean, this kind of chats are around in offices, and the shy one will never get promoted because others less shy will get promoted first. So this is common type of talk. But now, so first of all, my suggestion is speak always clearly to your direct manager or whatever, because I mean, you have first of all assume goodwill. If you assume goodwill and you don't give the information, the guesses could be wrong. And then it could be the guesses, you love what you do, you are so enthusiastic, you don't want to move. And so, yeah, you will remain there for life. So just assume goodwill and say what you think first. Then regarding the fact that your results should speak for you, there is the known Peter principle in economics, which says that if you have an ideal, hierarchical, and fully meritocratic system, the people go up because of merits in their own role. No, in their current role, they go up to a next level. Because the levels have different skills required, this staircase will stop in the moment of maximum incompetence. So everybody will stop eventually when they don't get good results, which is terrible for the organization. It's a little bit of a paradox, but it says why you should not get promoted only for what you demonstrate at the current level. You should be checked by your direct manager for what you can give at the higher, let's say, level, hierarchical level. And finally, a completely fair system is impossible. That we know, we are human, but getting everybody to speak will make the system better than if nobody speaks. If nobody speaks, just the change will happen by chance, and then for sure it's worse. So definitely this is something I learned by moving to the Netherlands, where everybody is outspoken way more than in Italy. So yeah, we are at the end of my talk, and here are some takeaway concepts that I would like to keep you to keep in mind. First of all, the research mindset I described is key to get results. Optimism is a strong driver in research, and convincing skills are something you can study and you can learn. And yeah, the time versus money equivalence. Be aware of time, of how you spend your time. Don't assume that just since you have time, you have to spend it. No, you have to spend it on something that is worth to spend it and where you are aware of what it will bring and you agree on it. Because otherwise you're just maybe wasting that currency. And pursue your higher expectations and aspirations. So look at what you really want, your kid inside wants. Don't copy the careers of the others. Just look at what you want. Are obvious statements, but I will say that in many cases I don't see it happening. And finally, here I want to thank you and of course invite you for questions with the slide, including all the chips photos that I published till now in my career. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefano. That was a fantastic presentation. Absolutely inspiring. I think we've all been there where optimism fades away, or we're like really struggling to convince peers. So I'm sure we'll find all your ideas very helpful. It was also wonderful to see your analogies with circuit design. So I think you have scientifically backed up all your suggestions and ideas too. So that's really great. And thank you for a great reminder on how important time is to all of us. So so let's move on to some Q&A before the end of the webinar. So the first question that we have is, how do we keep passion on research topics that might be considered less hot in the industry or in academia?
Okay, so I assume the question, I have to assume, otherwise we get a debate, but I assume the question goes in the case the research topic is enforced a little bit, no, on the person. So the person needs to go that way, doesn't have ways to change it. In such a case, I will say that, yeah, it's a tricky one, but what I think, yeah, with my optimism, what I think always is that there is no dead end for innovation. So it's just, you have to look for it actively. And yeah, there are difficult conditions in which you have maybe your peers not listening at all to any new any innovation in that field. But yeah, don't underestimate the power of surprise and of you can find innovation even where it looks like not being there. Like I made the example, like my mentor worked. You could have a completely saturated field where, I mean, active diodes was an active diode, simple comparator with the switch driving a switch. There you have all the compromises of GM current and so on. but still you could find innovation in that. It's a small circuit, a meaningless circuit in certain ways. I mean, compared to the complexity of architectures, of modern architecture. So, yeah, that's the maximum I can say. But I understand the frustration can happen.
Thank you. So our next question would be, what would you consider the most important skill or skill sets for a successful PhD student?
PhD. So PhD is shorter, of course. Many of the long-term aspects that I described are not necessarily valid in a PhD. It's not a marathon in that case. It's more of, I don't know, if 400 meters, maybe. But yeah, in such a case, I think it's the initial part, really, the research mindset, the optimism are more important maybe than convincing skills and all the rest, career path and so on. So the first part of the presentation is more suitable for PhDs. You need to keep your enthusiasm. You need to keep looking for innovation. Yeah, you need to look at ideal world there. Yeah.
Makes sense. So similarly, like, do you have suggestions for junior faculty members or researchers? I think it's the next step up there, right? And on trying like different research topics in their early careers, like how do you spend or like balance the time spent between the various topics, I suppose?
Oh, between the various topics.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's related to priority settings, right? Which is not something that I tackled in the presentation. It's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one because, again, you are talking about unpredictable stuff like research, and saying that you get it a little bit by experience is like a kind of recursive reasoning, right? I mean, how do you get to experience if you don't know how to make priority? Yeah, I don't even know how this happened. I have to be frank. Giving priorities is a little bit of magic. People tend to put some equations. Some people try to do expectation like statistics into the results. Yeah, I don't think it's even possible. All the probabilities in that equation you don't know. You can assess, and then I think with experience you start putting better numbers. So I will say talk to the older one. They might have a little bit more feeling for those probabilities into the equation of the expected result. Yeah.
Thank you. So one of the other questions we have here is like, what strategies or practices can individuals employ to pinpoint and evaluate their current position or progress confidently? Like, I think it seems to be a question about like self-assessment, like in research or like even in your personal life. How do you have strategies or practices that you recommend to help with that?
Yeah. So this is on career kind of, if I understand well the topic. Yeah, and how, if I understood well, is how your direct manager or peer or whatever could assess your performance or past performance and so on. Yeah, that's also, yeah, it's something I barely touched, but this is also difficult because of what we said, like research cannot be really planned, right? And so it cannot be just result based. If you have a good relation, if you have periodic talks, then I think I would value way more the interaction and the way to see that there is some logical, rational, like deciding methodology that tries to get on facts, tries maybe to look at what are the missing aspects in the literature, no? For example, in university or in academy or in industry, in the market, no? And when you see that behavior, then yeah, you judge better than just by judging on results. Results are a little bit difficult in our field as a just metric.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on, I think. Okay, so okay, one other question here is so what is your take on industry research versus academia research? Like how do you see that differently? And as a follow-up to that, like how can you build partnerships with industry or other academia groups to enhance your research impact? I think you mentioned how you got invited to some of the management talks, and that made a big impact to you. So how can you build partnerships? So I think it's a two-part question.
Yeah, it's two indeed. So the first one, I think I kind of love both a little bit. I mean, just to give, I mean, I don't know if the question is so broad, but you know, probably who asked probably knows that academy research is normally more oriented to the far future, to problems which sometimes are not even already there, but are envisioned to be there in the future, or solutions which are not yet ready. So you cannot make a product actually out of that. So it's very high risk type of research, but high reward, because if it goes, no, it's like a lottery. I mean, okay, programmed lottery. We don't work really on lottery, but on industry, you need to have a little bit shorter view, even if there are, of course, in industry research departments that look a little bit longer, but they tend not to overlap too much with academy. I mean, they partner with academy. It makes no sense to compete with the academy in industry. And then there is like, I mean, I'm a research organization, a research center, which is in the middle, like partners with both, and gets research a little bit more towards industrial level, right? But also looking forward more than what normally industry does. So it's really in the middle, if you wish. And yeah, I love both. It's so intriguing. Industry has the good thing that you see really a product coming out there. You see the impact. In academy, you will not see it for a long time. After many years, your paper might be adopted by some companies, right? So, but you get the reward of the paper. So it's a different reward. Both give reward. And then there was a second question on, I forgot.
I think to how to build partnerships. Like, do you have ideas on building partnerships with industry or academia groups?
Yeah, that comes from your network as everything, right? You need to be open to that, and yeah, when you are open, when you talk very nicely to everybody and show also the willingness to help the others, then you get help, and then you get constructive relationships, and they are also fun, I have to say, because also from a human perspective, being in your room all the day without talking to anybody, it's very nice, very our environment is very live, the one of scientific research. It's a small group of people in the world that kind of pursue the same direction, even if in different companies. They look like competing one to the other, but in reality, we are going all in a common direction. So it's very nice, I think, to collaborate with others. It's a nice feeling.
Thank you. So I think we have maybe time for one more quick question. So for convincing, for the convincing skill part, what strategies do you recommend for researchers to communicate their findings and research contributions within the junior and senior peers? So do you see any difference between how you communicate between the two? I think junior and senior. I think that's the question.
I think if you recall the yeah, I do not go back, otherwise it's very long. But if you recall, there were many techniques, stakeholder analysis, driving, bringing a message, and so on, conveying the message. But the one really key in this case is for the junior is to build trust. So which normally is the problem. You might think that the junior maybe knows very well his deep technical, let's say in his PhD, for example, in his technical specific domain, is probably one of the few in the world to know the best that topic, right? It could be even better in certain specific aspects than the professor who is following him, or her, right? So it's possible, but lacks lateral knowledge, and then on that you get judged when you do a proposal, because it could be you do a proposal just on that spiky knowledge, but you don't look laterally, and you need to convince the other that you are capable of doing that. And in your pitch or story or so on, try to think, would I be convinced? Don't only show that particular technical problem, show that you are looking also laterally, already in your slides, already in your story. That creates an enormous trust when you see like a PhD or a junior person doing that, looked by. Then indeed for a senior is less important. You are supposed to do that. So it's
yeah, that's a great suggestion. I think we will have to conclude on the Q&A due to time. So thank you everyone for your excellent questions. Thank you so much, Stefano, for the wonderful answers. And on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank you for sharing your insights and perspectives on this very important topic, essential skills for thriving research career. So your suggestions will help our young professionals navigate this very important aspect and help them succeed. As noted earlier, the recording of this webinar will be available at the SSCS YouTube channel. And before you leave, please don't forget to complete our feedback survey also. And thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and this recording can be found on the SCS YouTube channel within 1 to 2 weeks. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.